just wanted to show some footage of a project I've been working on over the last 3 years. For some of those who've seen the clips at the start of some of the episodes, you'll see the wall that I've been working on, the retaining wall. And that's a close to 100 meters, just to create a flat area in an otherwise hilly block that we can have a nice piece of grass to enjoy other than having the harsh, dry environment that we live in. It's taken about 3 years, as I mentioned, to get to this point, most of which I've done it myself. The wall, the backfilling, the fence on the left I had some help with, but the grass I pretty much planned and done myself with the help of Chris, who laid it on the day. It's been a huge amount of work and it's taken me away from the ute, but with a family now, you've got to have a place to enjoy for the young fella and also us in the summer months, and I couldn't be happier with the result. Tiff Tuff is the grass I used, waters from the river, and those sprinklers will make sure it stays green for years to come. Well, welcome back. This is a bit of a holiday special. Hope everyone had a good New Year's and Christmas, and as you know, between Christmas and New Year's, it's that kind of floating around. What do you do with yourself? A lot of the time you get in the shed. Went for a bit of a break, but I just thought it's been a while, so I'll get back out in the shed and have a bit of a play with pushing this old girl along. So basically, with this build, I'm a little bit stuck at the moment, and you probably realise that because it's just taken so long. The reason I'm stuck a little bit is because I'm basically shit scared to put the panels back on. So put the other door on the other day. Tim came over and helped install that other door. The driver's side went on beautifully, happy with the gaps. The other door went on not so smoothly, but we managed to get away with it. We did, unfortunately, do a little chip on the top of the door, which I was spewing about. But you know, there's certain things, I suppose, that are going to happen when you're assembling panels that are painted. You know, I now know why people will assemble it, then paint it at the end. There's a huge risk you're going to chip at least one panel doing it this way, and I've now come accustomed to the fact that, you know, I've got one chip. I've actually got two chips, because when we're hanging the door, we hung that successfully, and then we went and hung the guard. Now, when I test fit back in one of the episodes previously, you know, I gapped the panels and I installed the guards in the door and lined them up, welded some wire in to get the gaps, you know, tighter than factory, and I was happy. What I didn't do is bolt all three, and you can see here, 1, 2, 3. I didn't bolt them in, I just put a bolt up the top, and I sort of just fixed a bolt at the bottom of the guard, lined it up. I was happy with that, so be it, move forward. Now, it was always a bit of a risk to paint them and then go back later on with the assembly. So when we were putting the guard on, it was basically sitting too far in this way. And what happens is, a lot of panel beaters will know this, but the arc of the door sort of pushes as you open it up. The angle of the door actually pulls forward a little bit. And if this panel's sitting further back, then it's going to hit it. And to eliminate that, you've got to have a huge gap, probably 10 plus mil, and it's just never going to work. It'll look crap. So in order to get that kind of 5-6 mil, similar to the back end of the door on that front guard, you've got to have that panel sitting exactly flush in this way, so that the arc of the door doesn't hit that panel. And now I know that what we did is it was sitting too far forward, opened the door, hit the bloody guard, and it's chipped the guard. It's a very, very fine chip, but it's a chip nonetheless, and I just have to deal with it now and forget about it, move on. You'll never probably see it. I'll see it. As a person walking past, you'll never even notice it, but I don't want to do any more. And the fact is I may do another one, who knows, but there's a lot more to go with the bonnet, you know, the nose cone, all this kind of stuff. The risks are there. All you can do is try and eliminate it and try not to get too far too upset if it does happen. At the end of the day, this is my first build, but I just do not want to have to respray something that's drastically chipped. So yeah, I've come to terms with that. I need to get that off my chest. It was doing my head in. And that's one of the reasons it's taking so long, is because it's not a two-man job. It's not a one-man job, it's a two-man job, and I've been struggling to find some help. Tim was lucky enough to give some time over the holidays to help me. But now he's obviously got away, he's got to work, all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to end up probably tackling this guard myself, and I've been thinking about it since the chip happened, and I just didn't think it was going to go on. I thought, you know what, it's not going to happen. I've stuffed it up. But then it's occurred to me that it was sitting too far in, and I've gone out to the HZ, I've looked at the arc, and they do get very, very close, maybe 1 mil, 2 mil, you know, when they're arcing, when they open the door. So your tolerances are just very, very fine. If you get it wrong, you'll chip that bloody guard. Not to mention, you know, up here where it's coming in and you got to bolt it, you just got to be very, very careful. Tape it up with, I've been using PVC duct tape because it just gives it a little bit more of a sponge, but it also makes it harder to get your gaps. Yeah, so the reason I'm doing this video is because I reckon some panel beaters might be able to help me sort this issue out. Now, when I installed this cowl panel, when I was doing the trim on that side of that pillar, putting the plastic trim, I actually had to trim 5 mil off the base, which tells me that it's 5 mil in, which tends to correlate with what's happening with that guard. So in order to push it back out, I'm thinking that we're going to need some washers, which obviously have an arbor or a diameter in the middle that's going to be big enough to bridge the hole in the guard. And I've also bored it out a little bit on that side just to give me some movement, extra movement forward just in case I need to. But in hindsight, if I come out, I probably won't need that anymore. But I was thinking, if I get 3 washers and 1 at the top, I'll just put these on, whether they're just blue tack or a little bit of tape, just to get the fitment. If that's pushing the guard far enough out, I'll start with bolting the top, get the alignment, bolt the bottom, and then I can do those middle ones up and obviously do the front one up. And I reckon I'll get away with it. And then, you know, the inner guard is another question. I'll probably get the fitment right first, take it off, and then I'll do the inner guard. And then once that's there, I'll bolt it all up and then it'll be it. So that is my solution to that issue. You know, a lot of the time these are called washer guards for a reason, because I think even though I've checked the HZ, they're all just slammed against the firewall, but you know, that was a factory thing. They haven't changed the cowl panel I have. If I can, I think that's as simple as it's going to be. It needs about maybe 2 washers, maybe it needs to come out 4 or 5 mil, maybe less. And I think that will change the distance, push the guard out, and then that arc of the door will basically be sitting flush. So when you open it, it just goes back like that. Sorry, when you open it, it just goes back from the guard that way. So you're not actually getting in the way of it coming back like that. So if you push it out, it just literally falls back and the clearance is fine. So that's what I've been observing, and that's pretty much what I think needs to happen. I need some feedback though. So if there's any old school panel beaters out there that do this regularly and have some tips on that, let me know. Worst case scenario, I'll organise for someone to come and actually do that for me, because I just don't want to stuff it up. I'm not going to actually showcase, I'm not going to do those guards. I've just got a quick little episode on the interior. Now, you know, last episode I was finishing the interior with the carpets and things like that. Since then, I've been thinking about what am I going to do with a radio or, you know, some kind of cassette player. Do I go old school, or do I go something different? So in this episode, I'm going to reveal what I'm going to do with that. Yeah, I was going to do this anyway, and then someone reached out to me the other day, and they always get things plugged to the channel. A lot of it's crap, some of it's good, and this one, just because I was thinking it at the same time, I thought, wow, that actually could work. And it was a CarPlay tablet that I thought would work brilliantly hanging from the radio cassette area. And I thought, it's because it's low profile, it might actually work there and do a good job. Because originally I was going to go a big kind of bulky, single DIN player that you slot in, and then it has that the actual screen on the front of it. Because you've got that spot in the HZ GTS near the radio, it's actually quite slim. It's probably just about that, if not a little bit thinner. I like it because it just hooks up to your phone. So basically it's like a CarPlay. It's like Apple CarPlay or Android. And it mimics, it's got Google Maps, it's got Spotify, it's got all the other stuff that you see on your phone, but you can just get it in your ute. So if you're going for a coffee on a Sunday, or if you're going for a cruise, it's nice to have some maps on there, Google Maps, some mod cons, just so you don't get lost. You can play some music, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, this is what I'm proposing I'm going to install, and I've already done a bit of a design of how we can use that initial hole that's already in the dash to make an adapter and print it to hang this on it. And then instead of using the cigarette lighter power, 12 volt power, do a hard wire 12 volt power coming into the side of it, which you've got a little USB-C outlet there, which just powers it on, and that's it. It's pretty simple kind of install, and it's got a magnet on the back. So I'm proposing I'm going to make a little adapter so that you can just snap it on and then take it off. So if you're parked up and you don't really want to have it there, you can take it off for security reasons. But usually when you're with these old cars, you don't let them out of your sight. So it's just easy to snap it on, ease of use. That's it, really, not much to it other than doing the hard yards to design an adapter. So I'll talk you through what I've done so far. We'll do a print and we'll go and test fit it. All right, so we're in the ute. As you can see, the other door is on, and the bolts are down there where I was trying to fit that guard, but we'll revisit that shortly in the next episode. But anyway, so that's for all those that don't know the GTS dash, that's what it looks like. That's with the unique parts adapters in it. So this is it. That's the radio that comes factory, the radio slot. You got the tuner and the volume, and then you've got this rectangular slot where the face of the radio comes out. And then you've got this kind of, in the back, you've got that kind of 20 mil wide, larger diameter circle that must house the radio. So from what I can see is that panel would have held the radio. I don't know, or there would have been something else that was bolted on the dash that I don't have behind there. But anyway, I'm proposing that it's going to hang off that. There's plenty of strength in that anyway for the weight of that screen that I've got, so I'm not worried about it holding it. So I've made the measurements, got all the measurements with the diameter of these, the distances, all that kind of stuff. And I've put it into the computer and I'm starting to build something up, so I'll show you. All right, so it's just on Illustrator. I've got the design that I'm proposing down in lines and all measured up. And so now it's time to just get it over to 3D, make something up so that we can figure out how we're going to mount it and what's going to happen. All right, so quickly before we go into that, I'll explain what we're dealing with. So this is the rear of the unit, and it's got that magnetic bracket there. It slips on and off, and it's got this kind of twist-off thread, like that, and then a mounting ball. It clicks in like that, so you can have the thing held up like that, swivel it around and things like that. So what I'm proposing is we keep that original unit. I mean, you could take that off. And then take that screw out and use the magnet and then re-screw something on. But I thought, you know what, they've already done it. Leave that there as long as you can get clearance, but redesign this ball joint here into the model and then recess the amount needed to get as flush against the dash as possible, as long as you've got clearance with that. So if that might sound as clear as mud, I'll explain it as I get into the model. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Redesign that, which should be pretty simple to do, as long as you get the strength in the print, and then utilise what's already there. So once it's attached, you should be able to just take this on and off as you see fit, and you can drill or fabricate a hole inside the print that will allow the wires to come through so that you can wire it up as well with hard wire, and you don't have to worry about that cigarette lighter. All right, so I've just upgraded the firmware, which you just flash an OTG adapter, USB, just flashed it. So what I was hoping that when I do that, at the moment when you start it up, I'll show you, it currently displays the McLaren logo, just purely because I love McLaren and I saw that as an option. But it didn't have Holden, for obvious reasons, not around anymore. So I was hoping they'd give me an option to do a custom one. So I'm going to try that by upgrading it. I'm hoping that will open up that option. So let's see. Doesn't look like it. There are all the logos there, but yeah, there's not a option for a custom logo. So I'm going to have to get around that another way. Stay tuned. All right, so first, actually I've done a couple, but this is the first one that I'm happy with. So we'll take it off, clean it up, and see if it fits. All right, that's it cleaned up. All right, so just give you a quick rundown of the design. These are the mount lugs that go through the existing holes that have been cut out on the fascia. That is for the cable to come through and mount onto the unit. Obviously that's the ball. I've recessed it just to sit the unit back as far as possible so it doesn't poke out. I'd like to try and get it as close to the dash as possible, but you know, I'm still not sold at 100% on whether it'll look good or not. And so this is what you do if you want it on. So you just click this mount on and then do it up from the rear. Can't really get it too far in because then it's going to be too hard to actually do up. You can still get access to tighten it at the rear, but basically that's the mount. I reckon I can sit that back further, but really I can still get access there. I think it's much closer and it would struggle to get clearance. Anyway, we'll see. We'll pop it in and see how it looks. Can I also just say that having this down off the blocks, I'm happy with the springs, the King leaf springs at the rear. It's sitting nice with those 17s. So yeah, it's got a good stance on it. And the clearance on those fronts, once I get the guards on, I think we'll be fine as well. So yeah, so just want to get these front guards on. It's just killing me. But as you can see, the gaps in the doors are perfect, so I don't want to stuff around with them. All right, so see if this fits. Well, it probably will fit. Yep. So it pays to have your measurements with a micrometer because it makes things so much better. All right, so that essentially is how it's going to be. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And just don't know about clearance. Anyway, we'll see. All right, so that's in. Just thought I'd quickly fire it up to show you. So if you were going to have this in here, you could just simply, this is the way I propose to do it anyway. So that one's good that way. And that there's a USB and a power. So you can just put it like that. And that's take the screen off. Yeah, so it's sticking out a little bit ordinary, actually. Anyway, I'll turn it on. We're probably not going to get any reception in here. There you go. So, you know, it's a good option. Driving wise, you'd still be able to see it. Wouldn't be that clear, but you'd be able to read it. Don't get any reception in the shed, so that's why it's not loading that. Really, all I'd want it for is maps and Spotify. So if I could get it for that, I'd be happy. Yeah, you could probably sit that back a bit further if you wanted to. And once that bottom section's on, you won't be able to see any of the wires or anything like that. But I don't know, I guess that's just a good way of, you know, if you're going on a trip or something and you want to have sat nav and, you know, you want to have an option to play some music and things like that, then I don't know, it's a good way to do that. And when you're not using it, we'll just take it off, unplug it, you know, and just and leave it like that. And if you want, you know, if you don't want to store it at all, then you just get the blank Holden one that I've made or whatever. You know, I'm thinking if I'm not using it, I'll just put that in there, paint that the same color. That's made out of ABS glass fiber, so it's slightly different color, but it looks pretty good. A few people have asked me about, you know, getting buttons in there as well, so you could probably do that, you know, using the same plate. But you could change that to whatever. You could just have it black and plain, or have Holden. Or I don't think Holden is breaching any copyright purely because it's just text. It's not actually a logo. So anyway, you could have a GTS one. There might be a few options that I could potentially explore. I think, you know, for a 5-minute change, if you wanted to go on a journey or something like that, then yeah, maybe it's a good option. I don't know. So if I just pop it out. So what I propose, obviously, is sitting it there. Yeah, you could sit that back further, because I thought, you know, you could have it sitting right back in there. But honestly, I think there and there, I mean, it's not worth the extra effort. I'm happy with that. You still got clearance to tighten that, and still got room to swivel as well, so you can swivel it down or up slightly. Whereas if you have it right in, you'll lose that. So these two lugs at the back, I've left a arbor in the middle, just under 7 mil. So I'll be able to put a 5 mil rib nut in there, or a nutsert, and I'll melt that in. This is just PLA, but the Holden one is ABS, and that's a glass fiber one. But that was just a test. The PLA won't be good enough inside this cab, so although it prints really well, I'm going to have to do it in ABS. And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just nutsert 2 threads in there, and then at the rear of that, I'm going to put 2 caps basically. So you'll just screw in from the rear 5 mil Allen bolt, and I'll just, yeah, that way, once it's in, it's not going to move. It'll just stay in there. Yeah, as I said, I don't think you go around and promote it as like some kind of whiz-bang audio-visuals entertainment system. But the thing I liked about it is it wasn't permanent. A lot of the time when you're driving these old cars, you don't want to listen to a radio anyway. You want to listen to the engine. So, but it's more, as I said, it's more just for the navigation side of things. Instead of having your phone jammed up on the board somewhere, you know, you can just put this in and know that you can have all the mod cons in the old car. So anyway, I'm going to run with it. I'm pretty happy with that. The fact that it is a something that you can change, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the functionality of that unit. Actually, it's fast. It's got all the things you need. You can even do messages. Yeah, so you can set up voice command and all that kind of stuff. It's got settings. As said, I was going to do this anyway, and I really just wanted to see what was out there, and all of a sudden that popped up. So anyway, that's two options for you if you've been looking at the radio Void and you didn't want to get one of those old school radios that you can get. You can get a Bluetooth one, but you didn't want to also just leave it open. So that's two options that I'm exploring, and just thought I'd make a video on it. On the note, we've got some pre-sale for the tail lights has gone pretty good. Got a few units that are getting ready to be painted and go out the door. So yeah, I've got the adapters and the Nava, the Bay 15 fittings as well. So they've all got to be fitted. But yeah, happy with that. And another one getting printed. 15 hours they take each. Anyway, so I thought I'd just quickly give a little bit of a play around with this radio blank. So that could be another option. Some of it's strung out a bit there. It's a bit of a shame. GTS option. So, and I also put a little ridge along around there, so I could just put it in and see what it looks like. Yeah, and that's it there. Fortunately, it's got that stringing there. Left the lid on, so it's probably a bit hot, but that could be another option. Considering it's a GTS dash, it pays homage to that era. If I can just reprint that and get that banding sorted, then that could be a good option. All right, so just painted that, and with high build primer and paint, so it gives you that even sort of plastic look. Unfortunately, see how it's warped? Left out in the sun for literally 10 minutes, and that's what happens to PLA. That's why you've got to use high temperature plastics like ASA, ABS for interior parts. Otherwise they'll just warp on you. Yeah, but that's pretty much the look I want to go for, and it sort of matches, not that that's going to fit in anymore because it's warped, but it gives you that similar sheen to that factory fascia plastic. So yeah, that's the way to go. And that edge, that little bevel that I put on there as well, just gives it a little bit more realism, as if it was like a factory spec blank plate. So I think I'll roll with that, whether that GDS is a Holden or it's just GDS, or it could even be the Holden line, or it could be an area where you knock out some holes for buttons and whatever. But yeah, I think the fit and finish is more important. So that's why I always prototype PLA and then finish it in ABS. Yeah, I like that. Sort of show you from the side, so what it looks like. Yeah, I think it looks pretty sweet actually. Just gives it a nice little modern twist to it, and as I said, yeah, it's not permanent, so you can just take it off when you don't want to use it. But yeah, I think it adds a nice little touch to it. Otherwise, pretty outdated little area. So I've just heat setted those in. It's a 5mm thread, and just designed up these little caps for the back. Just create a little hollow round cap that slides over that. When you slot that in, it'll slide over that wider round cap. That should hold it in there with more than enough strength. All right, so that's it for this episode. That's the product that I was using for that tablet. Put a link in the description if you're interested. Click on it and go and have a look. Yeah, so back to the debacle of the guards. So it's not a debacle, but it's something that I've just got to do and get over the fear of chipping it. And yeah, if there's anyone out there that can give me some advice or even help, who's done this before, preferably, and done it many times before with painted guards, that would be bloody fantastic. Give me some tips over some feedback, or just contact me directly. I'd much appreciate it. I'd love to finish this thing. I was hoping to get it finished for the Hangar Rock car show, which is in Feb, but it's just going to run out of time. So yeah, the goal is to just try and get it finished before the cold weather comes in again. So close that, yeah, really once the guards are on and the bonnet's on, I can do everything myself from that point forward. It's not really a two-man job. It's a few little tweaks to the engine and things like that just to get it running. But yeah, so close that I just got to get these guards going. So anyway, I hope everyone's had a good holiday. I mean, I'm always posting stuff on either Unique Parts and Barnsey's builds. So if you're keen for any of that stuff that I'm doing, yeah, follow that on Instagram because I'm always updating on those two channels. And I'll hopefully have an update with these guards in not too long. I can probably try and get straight into it as soon as I get some help in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, until then, see you later.